asking for record clarity. The record leans on a recurring hands were tied narrative, which can make the decision read like a single bundled approval rather than distinct determinations. That's why traceability matters. Each separate determination should have its own pointable basis in the entitlement record. This is happening in an escalated litigation posture reflected in the applicant's counsel's November 21 and December 8th letters. In that environment, clarity is how the city protects itself. And when the applicant's correspondences put housing element compliance on the table, the record should be especially clear on the family size affordability outcome, because the project is approved with 0 deed restricted affordable 3-bedroom units despite the housing element's stated urgent need.
The template for the future. Housing should be strong enough to stand on a clear record, and if these exceptions are required, then the record should show it. I think that's what the other appellants
are missing here, is that the burden is on them to provide the evidence, not on us. The state report was extremely clear as to how the state law works, and the idea that we would be going back and forth endlessly. This is why the Housing Accountability Act was passed, is to make sure that we didn't get trapped in endless rounds of complex questions and analysis that are clearly no longer needed for these type of infill housing projects. So we are here to answer your questions about the technical parts of the project, and I do have a few minutes. I want to turn it over to my co-counsel, Andrew Giacomini.
There's the banks are closing. That used to be on every corner. Nobody goes to the bank anymore. The retail stores are closing because of Amazon. All of these are putting pressure on the downtown, and therefore the whole city. The lifeblood of it is this business community where people can come, and I see every day what's become of it, just like you have. You also see this yourselves, and you know it's a problem. And this is why the Chamber is such a big fan of this project and other projects, because they know that bringing people close to downtown can help revitalize that, and you know that too. Like, that's not a secret. That's the way that we can turn the corner and bring San Rafael back to what it was like when I was a kid.
What could you give us some examples of what could meet that standard? The only thing I could come up with is if they propose to build in the middle of a street.
I have not come across one of those. We do have our outside legal counsel, Connor McLean, on Zoom. I don't know if he can provide any examples from his other cities.
And Connor, I'd also invite you to clarify regarding the concession question that Councilmember Bushy asked about.
All right, yeah, thanks. Thanks for introducing me. Regarding the specific adverse impact upon public health and safety, to be honest, I have not ever seen a city make that finding successfully and have a court agree that there was actually a specific adverse impact upon public health and safety. Potential findings that could be made. So that finding has to be based on objective written standards. So for example, if a city had objective written standards about certain fire safety requirements that complied with state laws regarding those requirements, and a development was going to be inconsistent with those requirements in a way that would cause here a specific adverse impact on public health and safety, then a city could theoretically deny the project, finding that the project was inconsistent with those standards. Here, the city has not identified any of those standards with which this project would be inconsistent. And for that reason, the city has not found that it would be able to deny any of these concessions based on any specific adverse impact upon public health and safety.
So Connor, just in summary then,
Yep.
so long as the proposal is consistent with applicable law and regulations, it's nearly impossible for the city to find a basis for granting any of these appeals.
Correct.
So I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing, and we'll kind of spin through, and if it gets a little long, we'll take a break, but don't worry, everyone will be heard. Thank you. So you'll have 2 minutes each. So this is what we're going to do because I can see everyone's going to speak. Let's go for like till 9:30 and then we'll take a quick break and then we'll do some more. So go ahead, and you've already spoken, but go ahead, Ms. Leyland.
Yes, because I didn't hear any feedback about what I talked about, the health concerns. And the thing is that the property that they want to build on has an office building on it. That would mean that it was zoned commercial. And it means that the zoning was changed to be residential. And I'm saying that that property should not be residential because of where it is. And they talk about the freeway, but it isn't just the freeway. It's all the cars that come into San Rafael from the freeway that we all stop, and at the stop sign, and they're waiting and waiting. It gets polluted on 3 different sides, just probably not the canal side. So I think it would be actually, as I said in my summary, inhumane to allow the construction of any building at 700 Irwin that would house individuals 24/7. It isn't just about the going out through the, whether you can open your window and have a little, whatever. It's stuff like that goes through the cracks. And if you have, anyway, and then, so I think you need to reverse your approval on rezoning. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying that as far as the health stuff is concerned, those are adverse findings. Those are adverse findings. You cannot build places that are going to be causing people health issues. And I have been trying to be in touch with the urban, whatever. And, I had to say one other thing. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do a PowerPoint. If I had, it would have been great. But I did all these storyboards that I can't show the people.
We were able to see them. Thank you for your comments.
Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Mayor, council members, I understand the concern about exposure and being compelled to approve. My request is designed to work within that reality. Remand is not denial. It's a short step to make the record clear on the objective standards and the city's basis, so whatever decision the city reaches is easy to follow and stands on a clean record. And since staff is emphasizing objective standards, I'm asking for something very specific. For each determinative point, the record should make it pointable. What objective standard applies? What evidence was relied on, and where the city determination is stated? First, below grade baseline, what objective floodplain engineering constraint is the city applying in the record is for the basis, and how's that tied to evidence for treating the 100 unit baseline as feasible as approved? We're talking about the baseline, not the final project. How is that feasible with the below grade condition? Second, clustering. Councilmember Bushy asked a good question about clustering, and I appreciate staff's answer, but the record question remains. Clustering is allowed if the city makes an affirmative determination that it furthers affordable housing opportunities. Where is that affirmative determination in the entitlement record, and what evidence supports it? What does the city cite? That's why I'm asking for remand, not to deny, not to relitigate, just to make the objective standards, the evidence, and the determinations explicit and pointable before final action. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, you're welcome, but not required to say your name and what part of San Rafael.
Good evening, everyone. Susan Coleman, Realtor for 24 years here in San Rafael and a member of Responsible Growth in Marin. I'm speaking for myself tonight. I'm pro-development. I think our organization has also come to feel that they are more pro-development. We're pro-infill. I think the downtown precise plan was really well thought out. For us, it's not a deal. For us, it's our community. This is our community. This is where we live. We all use that exit all the time. We know we need housing. I'm going to ask you what you can do to change the standards at the local level so that these multiplier effects don't become ridiculous and get us to 17 stories. I'd love to see more affordable housing all over the city. I'd love to see more development all over the city, in addition to the 13% we're going to have that's already approved and in the pipeline. We already have that going on. But the 17-story, we aren't looking for a development award. We're just looking for a great way of life consistent with the character of the community we've got and that accommodates people who need housing. But it's not a deal. We're not going for an award. We're going for practical solutions. And I think 17 stories is just offensive. And I think you've heard that time and again. So anything we can do at the local level to change those multiplier effects would be welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be noting questions, so after folks give input, we'll go through the questions after.
Good evening, council members, mayor. I'm Janet Shirley. I live in San Rafael Meadows, and I want to speak in favor of bikes and getting more cars off the road. This project has been approved as a transit-oriented development near downtown and near the SMART. Transit-oriented development is supposed to reduce dependency on cars and support walking, bicycling, and transit use. The city's own 3-year strategic plan calls for developing an integrated, multimodal transportation network and strengthening bike and pedestrian infrastructure. Yet in this project, required bicycle parking was cut by 78%. On the claims that it was infeasible. At the same time, the project provides substantial vehicle parking, including a large mechanized parking system, which we were told about today. If space existed to prioritize vehicle parking, why did required bicycle parking become a thing that physically precluded the project? In transit-oriented zone, shouldn't bicycle capacity be protected or even expanded rather than dramatically reduced? This feels like transit-oriented development and more like a vertical parking garage wrapped in housing. This may not have been the intent, but it is the effect. If the city grants height and density bonuses because of proximity to transit, then minimizing bicycle capacity while emphasizing car storage deserves a clear and transparent explanation. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for this meeting. My name is Ted Lowenberg. I live in San Francisco, and I'm speaking tonight because I have worked before with Mr. Quasri and the team on the project in San Francisco. What I learned in working with him on a project there was that here was a guy who wants to construct housing, and that isn't just an end in itself. He wants what is built to be a function of the community. And as a result, he brought people together like me from the neighborhoods that were affected to discuss the entire project in infinite detail and incorporate our ideas into the design, into the considerations, into questions about how much of this and how little of that, et cetera. And what you have in front of you is a project that will really give you a thriving future for San Rafael, to not only provide housing, but to build community in the different segments of the city that can come together at this property. And with that, you will have an architectural landmark, and you will have a new heart of the city that will make everybody in this city, in this room, proud of the structure that results. I encourage you to support the project. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, my name is David Levy. In 2017, the Tubbs fires destroyed our Sonoma-based Mayacamas ranch, and I met David Kerzier, the sponsor, and worked very closely with him to find a path forward. And I'm here to endorse this project in large part because I've seen the heart of his vision for our land and this project firsthand, born out of recovery. David didn't just see a real estate problem. He showed me a soulful roadmap for mindful development, one that balances the built environment and the natural world. And I know we're at a crossroads here in San Rafael where sea level rise is unknown, housing instability is a reality, and economic vulnerability for all of us is right in front of us. And this project does have the potential to be a multi-solving demonstration that includes a long-term cross-sector partnership led with their work with the Canal Alliance. And I think another thing that really sets this project apart, and talking to Chris and David, is the intention for visionary financing. You know, a future suburban city model that prioritizes philanthropic capital to fund the build, allowing this project to serve as a legacy gift that supports our local nonprofits and stakeholders for years to come. I'm a parent of 3 kids. I want them to have a vibrant future here in Marin. This project blends beauty with economics and development with resilient design. The project is a civic acupuncture point, as David calls it, and a model for the country and our county. I strongly urge your support. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Annabelle Dizerins, and I'm born and raised in Marin and live and work here today. I'm here to support the project because I want to build my future in this city, and I want it to be a place where my friends and future family can stay and grow too. Housing in San Rafael is extremely expensive, regardless if you're renting or buying. Many people I grew up with have already left because they cannot afford to stay. Even dual income households struggle. If we want housing to be even slightly more attainable, we need to build more of it. Housing is not just about buildings. It determines whether friendships last, families grow, and young adults can invest their energy back into the community. When people are priced out, we lose more than just residents. We lose relationships, local investments, and the next generation of community leaders. I see this project as a meaningful first step. If we do not add housing, we are sending a message that there's no place for the next generation, and that's not the future for San Rafael that I want. So I urge you to support this project, and thank you for your time.
Mayor Kate, City Council, good evening. My name's Miles Smith. I'm a citizen of San Rafael. I live in the east side of San Rafael. I'm also on the board of directors of Sustainable San Rafael. I want to preface by saying we acknowledge the urgent need for affordable housing in San Rafael and remain very committed supporters of that for reasons for diversity, equity, long-term sustainability, and of course revenue opportunities for the city. That said, we support granting the appeals and requiring the project to be downsized, primarily on public health and safety grounds, specifically the site's known exposure to sea level rise and the existing reality of severe traffic congestion at this intersection. I've attended multiple king tide events sponsored by the city, and the sea level rise threat here is not theoretical. I've visibly seen it, it's mounting and well documented. As a resident of East San Rafael, I witnessed significant congestion every single week at this intersection. 200 units will worsen the situation, and I don't hear a plan where the cars or the trucks are going to go somewhere besides in the red zone that does not there's no parking there for trucks. The building's 200-foot height is quadruple the base zoning limit and nearly 3 times the city's own affordable housing bonus structure the city bonus structure envisions. This isn't a density bonus. It's fundamentally a different category of building that far exceeds what the downtown precise plan intended. With that said, we have 3 constructive recommendations. Lower the baseline building heights so intended heights are what actually achieved. Establish a formal sea level rise flood zones with safety requirements, bonding obligations, and flood protection district membership. reactivate the design review board in a non-compulsory advisory role to improve design outcomes. The decision you make tonight extends well beyond this one situation.
Thank you.
You are
Mr.
setting a
Grandpa.
precedent for every similar project that follows. Please get this right.
Thank you for wrapping up.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff. I'm all for responsible growth, and I'm all for housing that is needed, which is low-income housing. The 700 Irwin project is the height, pun intended, of irresponsible. 17 stories, 200 apartments, next to the freeway where air quality is the worst, at one of the busiest intersections in San Rafael, and only 30, or maybe 40, of the 200 apartments will be below market rate, falling into some class of affordable. There are currently about 8 large-scale multifamily housing projects either approved or in some stage of the application process here in San Rafael. All of those provide only 10 to 15% of the units as low or moderate income. At that rate, to meet San Rafael's RENA 2031 goal of 1,870 affordable housing units, the city will need about 11,000 more housing units overall. The 2020 census indicates the city already has about 24,500 housing units, so adding 11,000 more would be an increase of almost 45%. If the current crop of projects are anything to go by, these projects have no regard for the overall plan or aesthetics of our city, and there are no known plans for realistic infrastructure improvements. San Rafael currently has about a 4.5% housing vacancy rate. Most of those vacancies are in the rental market, and most research supports that number as being in the ideal vacancy range. Why build 45% more housing units, 85% of which will be market rate? There's already around 1,100 vacant units now. Let's be honest, developers are not in the business to fix housing problems. They're in business to make money. Housing's just the flavor of the moment because of Sacramento's recent
Thank you. You could wrap up.
one-size-fits-all laws which do nothing to fix the problem of affordable housing. I ask that the city join the growing movement to push back.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here to say a few words about David Kreiser. And I met David because we are part of this organization called Service Space. And Service Space is essentially an incubator for generosity-driven projects. About 1.5 million volunteers worldwide. Everything happens in the gift economy, no transactions at all. And when I went to an event there many years ago, there was a gentleman called John Malloy who's worked with at-risk teens for about 50 years. And he's also the head of the Native American spiritual run, the 500-mile spiritual run. He pulled me aside and he said, I need you to meet David. And one of the first things I found out about David was in the prime of his career, he shifted his young family to India for 2 years at the request of the Dalai Lama to build a private healthcare network for Tibetan refugees. So that's the kind of person he is. And closer to home in San Rafael, I'm a Marin resident as well. I'm a documentary filmmaker. Artistry Studios, you might be familiar with it. They provide vocational guidance. So one of the board members there, Darius, and his wife, Joelle, they run an equine therapy clinic, equine therapy farm and they had to move from Half Moon Bay. And David jumped in right away and helped them with everything, securing land, advising them on legal matters, everything volunteer. And I was also part of, 20 seconds, so also part of a project that he did in San Francisco. And we organized, art salons and, everything. He did so much to bring the community together. So I think if this project is approved, you're in good hands, yeah. Thank you.
My name is Germán Herrera. I live in San Rafael. I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm here to contribute. I've been thinking a lot about this proposal, and I understand why it brings up mixed feelings. When something new is proposed where we live, it's personal. It's our streets, our routines, the way the neighborhood feels when we walk through it. Questions about traffic scale and affordability matter. They affect real people. At the same time, we can't hold a place still. Housing is tight. People want to live here. Communities either slowly close in on themselves or they find ways to open thoughtfully. For me, this isn't just about buildings. It's about the kind of life we're making room for. Who gets to be part of it? What kind of cultures and conversations take root here over time? I trust that if we stay involved and honest with each other, we can shape change in a way that feels like growth while staying true to what makes this place home. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Bill Carney with Sustainable San Rafael. Again, we believe that sea level rise provides the basis, based in public health and safety, the basis for approving these appeals. It's also the basis for a lot of additional work by the city going forward to adopt a sea level rise district, which would limit height and dwelling, height and density with bonuses to safer levels. And also to adjust the downtown precise plan heights so that the heights with state bonuses conform to the heights the city with city bonuses in the existing downtown precise plan. And those heights, of course, were established precisely to encourage more housing. So just bringing them into alignment is a big task before us. I do have one question, I think directed to staff primarily. If 50-foot base height gets you a density of 100 units, and you multiply that by 2 for 200 units, if you multiply 50 feet by 2, it's 100 feet tall, not 180 feet tall. So I don't get the math of that, and maybe someone could do that math for us. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll note that.
Hello, my name is Wayne Rayburn. I live in San Rafael Meadows. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'd like to speak about the parking issue of 700 Irwin because I think it reveals an integral contradiction. The project reduces required bicycle parking from 271 spaces to 60. That's a 78% reduction. On the grounds that complying with the bicycle requirements would make the project unworkable. At the same time, the project is providing more vehicle parking than downtown precise plan requires. So on the one hand, the applicant argues that they require bicycle parking physically prevents the building from being constructed. On the other hand, the project is over-allocating square footage for vehicle parking, including a full mechanical system. This raises a simple question. If space exists to provide that amount of car parking, how is it determined that the required bicycle parking would make the project impossible? This is not about preferred parking for bikes over cars. It's about consistency. If the city-owned plans support transit-oriented development near downtown and smart station, and if the state laws allows density bonus because of proximity to transit, then reducing bicycle capacity while prioritizing car storage deserves a clear explanation in the record. The public should be able to see why one form of parking was treated essentially and the other was impossible. Thank you.